Hello again, Toon Tank fans. You can see I got paint and stuff from the last tank I did. Anyways, this is a Meng number 16, and this is a French tank called the Char B1, a heavy tank, and this was actually a tank designed before World War II, so it's quite antiquated. It was designed originally as a mobile artillery, so this gun can only move up and down, and the tracks were used to go left and right. You can also see the tracks go around the whole hull. Before, it didn't have the turret. So they added a turret, and then it did fight in World War II. It was just, an old design by that point in time, and couldn't keep up with the Blitzkrieg. It wasn't a fast tank. Okay, well, little cartoon renderings. This is a video game, by the way. I've never played it. If it was a free app on my phone, I would play it, but not the case. Oh, I've never even noticed that they give specs on the tank. There's a little story here. Alright, yeah, I have to look all this up on Wikipedia. But yeah, 28 tons, crew of 4, 75 millimeter howitzer. Well, the cannon, it's 75 in the hull. The turret has a 47 millimeter gun, I guess. It wouldn't be a howitzer, though. Or would it? I don't know. 28 kilometers per hour, 200 km. And what else is important? It's powered by a 16 and a half liter inline 6. So 16.5 liters out of a 6 cylinder. That's a crazy engine. Made 272 horsepower and had 9.7 horsepower per ton for the weight ratio. And the armor, well, I guess it could be 75, well, no, it doesn't say. 40 millimeters to 60 millimeters, depending on the type of char it was. So, okay, that's all I care about this thing. So these kits are really well designed. The only gripe I have are the rubber tracks because, paint doesn't want to stick to this sort of stuff. I really wish the tracks were just plastic. But these are, I think, meant to be toys after they're built. So, kids want things to roll around, and Hot Wheels collectors want things to roll around. Alright, well, anyways, I'm gonna, let's look at this thing. There's only one decal. It just says Sassy Grassy? We'll find out. I'll put it on later. I do find it odd that there wouldn't be some sort of French flag decals or something, right? The instructions are straightforward. There are all the parts, not many. And so if you could read numbers, you could pretty much figure out how to put this together. Yeah, okay, and then there's some, I guess, paint scheme ideas. I'll try to find something online to paint it. So, as usual, I'm going to fast forward all this build stuff and then come back with the full model review and any sort of problems I run into. See you then. Alright guys, I'm back, and this is definitely the most amount of time I put into one of these models because it took like 2 hours just to paint these stripes, maybe 3. Because I didn't want to have paintbrush strokes, so you gotta thin down the paint quite a bit, meaning I had to lay on the green and the brown like three to four, 5 times even in some places. Um, but just to chip it away actually. So if you didn't watch, me building this, I basically primered it in black, and then I hairsprayed the whole thing, and then I laid on all the colors, and then I took a wire brush and water. I soaked the whole thing in water and a wire brush, and that helped break through the acrylic paint and get back to the black. Some really big chunks of paint were missing, so I had to go back and add some color again. And on the medium-sized chunks missing, I added the medium-sized chunks of paint missing. I added some metallic paint, and then a paint wash over it to dull it down. I've come to realize the model looks really nice until you dull clear coat it. Maybe I'm just using rattle can clear coat, but the exhaust system was looking really nice and rusty, and then I clear coated it with matte clear coat, and even though it's a matte clear coat, it still is like more of a semi-gloss. So I actually went back and added the pigment again with some hairspray to make it stick. And so this is just raw pigment right here, and I find that's really the only way to make it look really matte. Rattle can matte clear coat really isn't matte. It's just to let you guys know, at least the stuff I was using. So yeah, that's I guess the build. There wasn't anything majorly difficult. Some people, that Oddball channel recommends painting this beforehand because this cover goes on over the cannon, but I didn't find that necessary. I just used a paintbrush and still painted it while it was in there, so there's no need to do that. These side plates aren't even glued on. They're just a friction fit. It's a little easier to put the tracks on and then the side plates after, but you don't have to if you watch my video again back when I was building it. So this turret goes a tiny bit up and down. One thing I've noticed in these things is the turrets are extremely tight. Like, I literally had to scrape away this ring a bunch, and it's still, very tight. Even before I painted this thing, the turret was very tight. So, yeah, it's really interesting. I guess it doesn't matter if it scratches it because it's not visible anyhow. But it's just something to be mindful of, the tightness of the thing. This thing is glued in place. Ideally, it would have a longer, like maybe a long thick peg, and you could move this cover. I had it higher up, and for some reason the glue settled and it was a lot lower. I can't really see that second porthole there. But I'm too lazy to break it off and glue it back in place. It's not actually touching this surface. It's only glued in right there. So, where's my pick? Okay, got my dental pick here. These were extremely difficult to put in also. I had to shave away a bunch of plastic. They're a very tight fit. I'm not sure if the color of these jerry cans makes sense. I just looked up World War II jerry cans. I'm not sure if the French used olive drab in this like brownish one. So I'm not going for accuracy here. I also think the decal, maybe on the packaging, was more around here, but to go around that window would be weird. So I just put it on this back surface, this sassy Cassie thing. And again, it is weird that there's no French flag decals. I would much rather have a French flag, there and there, or maybe even here, right? So I always seem to put these decals with the actual part number on there just to help me identify these things, so I'll know in the future. I kind of wish these were bigger, actually. You're not really supposed to put this on the model, but if it's not molded in here, you gotta do that. Which leads to the point, why don't they just mold in all this text right into the bottom of this in like big letters, right? Why would you have such small letters here when it would just be with all this real estate, right? If this is meant for kids, wouldn't you want to teach kids to memorize or know what the thing they're holding in their hand is. It's very strange. I mean, no one's going to keep the original box, right? And then as usual, the tracks, yeah, they're rubbery. I could spin these around if I wanted to, but the paint will not stay on. And you don't want you don't want to clear coat these things. I made that mistake on a previous one because the clear coat will just chip off. So this is just all raw paint exposed, and if I took my finger I could easily scratch that off, or if I remove the track. So this again is the pigment. I think my favorite weathering thing is the actual pigment of rust. It really looks like rust to me, you know, with the dimensionality of a pigment. So I'm trying to think if there's any other issues I ran into. Not really. Like, there's almost no glue in this thing. I only glued maybe the inside pieces of the turret because I feel like they might fall out if I dropped it. But the rest of it, even this hull, I could take this whole thing apart. This is kind of like a key holding the top and the bottom together. But now that I've clear coated it, maybe I won't. I don't know if this should be painted silver. You know, it doesn't look like it would be. So I just left it alone. I know a lot of tanks probably had light covers, right? So, yeah, I'm just going to leave that alone. Maybe if I find reference and paint it silver later in the future, but because I spent so much time on this, I don't feel like working on it anymore. But I do feel it might be the best weathering job I've done so far. Granted, it's not professional weathering like some other YouTube channels that are willing to spend many days or weeks on the model. So my previous effort was this one, the Porsche Tiger, and my very first one was this thing. And this one I did make the mistake of clear coating the tracks just to realize I had to scrape it all off because it just looked weird. This one does have some mud weathering effect, but the other two do not. I'm trying to basically have all my tanks look a little bit different, you know? And well, this naturally is the case because these are 3 different countries making tanks. So even though these two are heavy tanks, this was designed before World War II. This was designed during, if not more towards the end of World War II. So, I mean, this is like a 60 or 60 ton tank, maybe? 70? Correct me if I'm wrong. So this is just a behemoth, the Tiger tanks. And so... Alright, so it's quite interesting, you know. I used to collect realistic, you know, 1/44 scale tanks, and when I was a kid I built all the Tamiya realistic looking tanks, so I'm kind of past the realistic stuff, at least right now. I really like these things. They're really cool. I mean, it's sure it's not realistic looking, but these kits have like all the details of a real model kit, you know, all these little nuts and bolts molded on there, you know, these tow hooks, just a lot of air going between pieces, like these covers here, right, for the exhaust. There is a little gap of air between the cover and the exhaust. I suppose I could have shaved it down to make it more, I spent enough time, never mind. Alright, let's get these two out of here and get this thing spinning. Yeah, these are really great. So I'm looking forward to building the next one. It's just it's a big commitment of time, you know. It's 6-8 hours maybe on this one. So, but every time I pick it up, I will appreciate it. That's for sure. But I gotta say, even like this one was probably the least amount of time, and I still appreciate this. But clearly it doesn't have any paint chipping at all, so it definitely doesn't look as weathered. But that's fine. Again, maybe I don't need to have everything look old. In fact, maybe I'll do one tank that just looks brand new out of the factory. But we'll see. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next Meng video. Bye now.